Good morning, everybody. Reed here, conductor at Orchestra Farm. About to head into work for the day, but I wanted to do my little, farm walk around. It rained a ton last night. And what I'm really thinking about is freedom. Being free. Now, this has been a big conversation piece over the years, and I kind of wish I set up my phone in the car while I was driving with my daughter, because she was asking me what I was thinking about, and I was telling her all about this. But to try to give the few points I was making with her is this idea that, there are people who live in HOAs or other places like that, and it's like you can't have chickens or just do whatever the heck you want whenever you want to. And the notion of that's one level of not being free, and she brought up slavery, and that's clearly a whole other degree of not being free. And I told her it's one thing to, have a homestead and be providing for yourself in lots of these different ways, but that's kind of like a base level of being free and a base level of freedom. And explaining to her how, as a musician, as a dancer, as an artist, in whatever your medium is, that you don't have freedom right away. You can't really play freely just straight off the bat. There's a process in which we develop our basic skill set and then move up into what might be called an advanced skill set. And it's somewhere in between those places that an exploration of freedom can really start to take place. And that exploration is combined with a feeling. And my impression of it, having explored it relatively thoroughly in my life so far, is that when I am in that space of exploring that sense of freedom or being free with that given medium, that my spirit feels enlivened, enriched, active in a whole bunch of ways. Look at all this flooding here. It's nice to see part of the soil is above ground. That thing of, it takes time to develop those nuances of exploring freedom. And a recognition that, in my life, with music and dance in particular, there was definitely a piece where, in looking into jazz and improvisation, one will find the free jazz movement coming into play, and a recognition that others have already blazed this trail, and that there's a big difference between trying to earn your living from something where you need to, in some cases, pander a bit to your audience, let's say, and make sure that they like what you're doing, compared to exploring freedom. And it's totally legit to acknowledge that I might want to create a particular place where I'm exploring freedom, and that is unique from the place where I'm exploring earning my living, or having a particular lifestyle where it's hey, I'm providing food for myself and I'm meeting those base needs in a way that resonates most deeply with how I want to live my life. And that notion of if you want to live your life on your own terms, you need to be free. But that level of freedom has obligations that come with it. It has responsibilities that come with it. And if we're exploring freedom, the notion of it's okay to have a place to set those down for a moment, to really get into all those nuances that come with exploring freedom. And in that, I've talked before about our different bodies, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. There's other ones, we'll save that for later. But that sense of when I am in those places, whether it's in painting, and making music, and dancing, sometimes even with gardening, although I don't feel like I have enough under my belt yet to fully say this in full with gardening, but my sense of finding peace and a certain level of like calmness where like a storm has passed and the sky clears. There's a sense when I explore those aspects of freedom and those mediums that afterwards I feel so clear. And I see a lot of people out there who are caught up on any number of different cycles of fear and anxiety that the world media try to press upon us. And by giving myself that space to explore freedom, to really like not worry about what it sounds or looks like, that clarity that comes afterwards is such a nourishing aspect of my life. I couldn't imagine living without it. And I think that's the piece where that base level of freeness and freedom to like have chickens or a garden or whatever the things are that you want in your life transforms into these higher states of being. Like, hey, don't get me wrong, needs are important. We obviously all have them. But there's also wants and desires. And so let's not let our needs be so omnipresent that we never get into our wants or our desires, and that in that exploration of freedom that it actually we get into those wants and desire places and experience the richness of life that comes from having done that kind of work or play. With that, I say thank you so much for watching this. Thanks so much for subscribing. Look forward to any questions or comments that you've got for me. Thanks for putting those in the comments below. You can find me at bendingreeds.com. Have too much fun.